Elena's breath caught in her throat. The man froze, the baby still crying in his arms. For a split second, their eyes locked, his cold, sharp, calculating. "What are you doing with that baby?" she demanded, her voice trembling but firm. He didn't answer. He just turned and bolted through the emergency exit. Elena sprinted after him, her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear the alarm blaring through the corridor. "Stop! Security!" she shouted, but her voice was swallowed by the chaos. The man disappeared down the stairwell, leaving only the echo of his footsteps and the baby's desperate cries fading into the night. By the time the guards arrived, he was gone. The baby was gone. Hours later, Elena sat in the director's office, her uniform stained with sweat and fear. Across from her sat Dr. Adrian Valente, the hospital's new chief of surgery, young, brilliant, and unreadable. "You're telling me someone dressed as a doctor kidnapped a newborn, and no one else saw him?" His tone was calm, too calm. Elena clenched her fists. "I know what I saw, sir. He wore a white coat, badge, everything. He knew the hospital layout." Dr. Adrian leaned back, studying her. "We'll review the cameras. For now, you'll keep quiet about this. The media can't know, understood?" Elena hesitated. "But that baby—" "Understood." His eyes narrowed, cutting through her like a scalpel. She nodded, biting her lip. That night, she couldn't sleep. The image of that man's face haunted her, the sharp jawline, the faint scar near his ear. He looked familiar, but she couldn't place where she'd seen him before. The next morning, the hospital buzzed with whispers. Missing baby, corrupt staff, cover up, but no one spoke it out loud. Elena tried to keep her head down, but her gut twisted every time she passed the nursery. There were supposed to be 7 babies. Now there were 6. When she went to check the records, the baby's file was gone, deleted, erased like it never existed. That's when she realized someone powerful was hiding the truth, and she was the only one who saw what really happened. Elena looked out the window toward the city skyline, her reflection pale against the glass. "If no one's going to find that child," she whispered, "then I will." 3 days passed. The police came and went, took statements, and left with blank faces. No leads, no suspects, no baby. It was as if the child had vanished into thin air. Elena couldn't shake the guilt. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that man's scar, that baby's terrified cry. She'd been the only one there, and she'd failed. During her night shift, she sneaked into the records room again. The computer hummed under the dim fluorescent light. She typed in the baby's birth date, mother's name, patient ID. Nothing. File not found. But then she noticed something strange. Every file created that night, every newborn's record, was modified at the same exact minute. Midnight on the dot. Someone had wiped the system remotely. Her heart pounded. This wasn't just a kidnapping, it was an inside job. She copied the access log onto a flash drive, slipped it into her pocket, and turned to leave when the door clicked shut behind her. "Elena." Dr. Adrian stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable, the faint glow of the monitor reflecting in his eyes. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. "I was just checking inventory," she lied. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Inventory doesn't require access to restricted patient files." Elena froze. "You're monitoring the system?" He didn't answer right away. "This hospital is under investigation. I can't have staff making it worse." "Making it worse?" she snapped. "A baby was kidnapped, and someone covered it up. Don't you care?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "Care?" He laughed quietly, but it wasn't a laugh of amusement. "You think caring changes anything in this place? You have no idea how deep this goes." Elena's stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" He leaned in, whispering like a confession. "Walk away, Elena. For your own sake." Before she could respond, he turned and left, the door closing behind him. She stood there shaking. He knows something. Later that night, she went home to her tiny apartment, too tired to think but too restless to sleep. Rain battered the window. She plugged in a flash drive and opened the log again. One name appeared on the access list, Dr. Adrian Valente. Her chest tightened. It's him. The next morning, she went back to the hospital pretending nothing had changed. She smiled at the nurses, took vitals, changed 4 bags, but every time Adrian walked past, her heart pounded harder. At lunch, she saw him in the cafeteria, talking to a woman in designer clothes. She recognized her immediately from the news. Lydia Moretti, owner of the hospital. She leaned in close to Adrian, whispering something that made him tense. And then Elena saw it. The same faint scar near Lydia's ear, just like the man in the restricted wing that night. Her blood ran cold. That wasn't a random kidnapping. It was planned by the people who ran this hospital. And she was in the middle of something far bigger and far deadlier than she ever imagined. Elena couldn't shake the image of that woman's scar. Same position, same shape. It wasn't a coincidence. That night, she printed the access logs and hid them inside her locker. The hospital was quiet again, too quiet. Every beep of the monitors sounded louder. Every footstep echoed longer than it should have. She walked past the nursery and stopped at the last incubator. 6 babies, but the 7th crib still sat there empty, untouched since that night. A folded paper rested on the counter. Not there before. Elena opened it carefully. One line, typed neatly. Stop looking, or you'll end up like her. Her stomach twisted. Her? Who was her? When she showed it to security, the paper was gone. Just gone. That's when she realized someone was watching her. The next evening, she clocked out early but didn't go home. Instead, she followed Dr. Adrian. He left through the back door, not the main entrance. Odd. He walked fast, checking his phone every few seconds. Elena stayed a few cars behind, her hands sweating on the steering wheel. He drove toward the old industrial zone on the outskirts of town, a place abandoned since the factory fire 10 years ago. Finally, he stopped near a warehouse with no lights, only a faint glow leaking through the cracks. Elena parked far enough to stay hidden, slipped out, and crept closer. Through a broken window, she saw Adrian talking to Lydia Moretti. Lydia's voice was sharp. You said the baby would be safe. You promised. I'm doing everything I can, Adrian hissed. But someone saw me that night. Who? The nurse. Elena Cruz. Lydia's eyes darkened. Then make sure she forgets what she saw. Elena's pulse stopped. They were talking about her. Before she could back away, her foot hit a piece of glass. The crunch echoed like thunder. Adrian turned. Their eyes met through the window. Elena. She ran. He chased her through the yard, shouting her name, his footsteps pounding closer. Wait. You don't understand. Understand enough, she cried, breath ragged. She darted around a corner, heart slamming in her chest. A dead end. Rusted gates. She spun around. Adrian was there, panting, hand raised. Listen to me, he said. I didn't take that baby from me. I was trying to save him. Elena froze. Save him? From what? From Lydia, he said, voice cracking. That baby isn't just any child. He's her son, and she wants him dead. The world tilted. What are you talking about? Adrian stepped closer, desperate now. Lydia's husband found out she had an affair. The baby wasn't his. He planned to expose her, ruin her. She panicked, paid someone to make the baby disappear. I couldn't let that happen. Elena shook her head. Then where's the baby now? He hesitated, looking over his shoulder. Safe. For now. But if Lydia finds him, he won't be for long. A sharp crack split the air, gunfire. The wall behind Elena splintered. Run! Adrian shouted, grabbing her arm. They sprinted toward the back exit, bullets tearing through the shadows. A car engine roared outside. Lydia's men. They stumbled into the alley, ducking behind a dumpster. Adrian's breathing was ragged. She must have followed you. Elena's hands trembled. We need to go to the police. He looked at her, eyes full of something between guilt and fear. No, you go. If they find out I was involved, they'll bury me, and that baby will disappear forever. Another gunshot. Metal screamed. Adrian grabbed her shoulders. Find Detective Ramos. Tell him the child's name is Gabriel. He'll know what to do. What about you? I'll buy you time. Before she could answer, he pushed her toward the street and ran back into the darkness. Elena turned just in time to see Lydia's car screech to a halt, and Adrian dragged away by her men. Her scream echoed through the empty night. And for the first time, she realized this wasn't just about a missing child. It was about the truth buried deep in a world where even heroes don't survive. Elena didn't stop running until the city lights swallowed the night behind her. Her uniform was torn, her shoes soaked with mud, her hands trembling. Adrian was gone, dragged into the dark by Lydia's men. She burst into the nearest police station, breathless. "I need Detective Ramos. Please." The officer at the desk frowned. "He's not on duty." Elena slammed her ID on the counter. "Tell him it's about Gabriel. He'll know what it means." The room went silent. The officer's eyes widened slightly. Without another word, he picked up the phone. Minutes later, a tall man in a worn leather jacket appeared from the hallway. Early 40s, rough around the edges, eyes that had seen too much. "Who are you?" he asked. "Elena Cruz, nurse at St. Mary's Hospital." She swallowed hard. "Dr. Adrian Valente told me to find you. He said you'd understand." Ramos' expression darkened instantly. "Valente? What did he tell you?" "That the missing baby, Gabriel, is in danger. Lydia Moretti is behind everything. She's having people killed." Ramos rubbed his jaw, thinking, "I knew something stunk about that hospital. We could never prove it." He looked at her again, serious. "If you're telling the truth, you're in more danger than you realize." "I don't care," she said. "They took him, and now they have Adrian." Ramos grabbed his keys. "Then we're getting him back." The next morning, news broke that Dr. Valente had resigned from the hospital. The board released a cold statement about professional misconduct. But Elena knew it was a cover-up. She and Ramos followed a trail of encrypted calls traced from Lydia's private clinic. All led to an abandoned medical facility in the hills. That's where Lydia kept her secrets. They reached it by dusk. The building loomed, half swallowed by ivy and fog. No guards in sight, just a single car parked outside, a black sedan. Inside, the halls smelled of disinfectant and something older forgotten. "Stay close," Ramos whispered, gun drawn. Elena's heart raced. Every door they passed looked the same, white sterile locked, until they reached one that wasn't. Behind it was a room full of monitors, security feeds, medical charts, folders labeled only with initials. On one of the screens, Adrian, tied to a chair, bruised, bleeding but alive. "Oh my God," Ramos cursed under his breath. "They're keeping him in the basement." They moved quickly, quietly, down 2 flights of stairs. The hum of machinery grew louder. In the final corridor, Lydia's voice drifted through the air, smooth, cold, rehearsed. "You could have been part of this, Adrian. You could have had everything." "I don't want your empire," Adrian spat. "I just wanted to save him." Lydia's tone turned venomous. "You can't save what doesn't belong to you." That was when Elena stepped through the door. "Then maybe it belongs to someone who actually cares." Lydia turned, startled, then smiled, slow and poisonous. The nurse." Her heels clicked as she walked closer. "You're brave, I'll give you that. But bravery doesn't save lives. Power does." Ramos raised his gun. "Step away, Lydia." Lydia laughed softly. "Detective Ramos, you always were predictable." A hidden panel slid open behind her. 2 men emerged with weapons drawn. A standoff. Elena moved fast. She threw a metal tray across the room, shattering a light. In the chaos, Ramos fired. 1 guard dropped. Adrian struggled free, kicking the second man. Lydia lunged for a syringe on the table, a clear liquid glinting under the broken light. She grabbed Elena by the wrist, pressing the needle toward her neck. "Let go." Elena gasped, fighting back. The needle pricked her skin, but she twisted hard, slamming Lydia's hand against the metal tray. The syringe shattered, liquid splattering across the floor. Lydia screamed, clutching her arm. "You'll regret this." Ramos grabbed her, forcing her down. "It's over, Lydia." She laughed, even as the cuffs clicked shut. "You think this ends with me? There are people above you, detective. People who protect me." Ramos shoved her toward the door. "Not anymore." Outside, rain poured like the sky was finally letting go. Adrian leaned against the car, exhausted. "You could have died in there," he said quietly. Elena managed a tired smile. "So could you." He looked at her, really looked. "You didn't have to come." She met his eyes. "I promised I'd protect that baby. That means protecting you too." For a long moment, neither spoke. just the rain, washing the blood from their hands. And somewhere, in the distance, a child's soft cry broke through the storm, faint but real. Ramos looked up. "You hear that?" Elena's heart skipped. "It's him, it's Gabriel." The crying grew louder as they followed the echo through the rain-soaked trees. Ramos pushed open the door of a storage cabin behind the facility, and there, inside a small crib, wrapped in a hospital blanket, was the baby, Gabriel. Elena gasped and fell to her knees. The baby stirred, blinking, then let out a soft, fragile whimper. She lifted him carefully, pressing him to her chest. "Warm. Alive." Adrian's voice cracked. "He's safe." For a moment, time froze. The storm outside, the flashing lights, the chaos, none of it mattered. Just the sound of a baby breathing against her heart. Ramos radioed back up. "We found the child. I repeat, the baby is alive." By sunrise, Lydia Mority's crimes were all over the news. Human trafficking, falsified records, conspiracy. The entire hospital board was under investigation. Ramos testified. Adrian cooperated fully, giving up every document, every file he'd hidden. And Elena? She returned to the nursery. Not because she had to, but because she couldn't stay away. When she walked in, the empty crib wasn't empty anymore. Gabriel slept peacefully, a faint smile on his lips. The morning sun painted gold across his blanket. Dr. Adrian stood in the doorway. "He's been calm ever since you came back." Elena smiled softly. "Maybe he knows he's finally home." Adrian stepped closer. "You could have died to keep a promise that wasn't yours to make." She looked at him. "Maybe, but when no one else was willing to fight for him, someone had to." For the first time, Adrian's composure broke. "You didn't just save him, Elena. You saved me too." The silence between them wasn't empty. It was full of everything they'd endured, everything left unsaid. Outside, cameras flashed, reporters shouted, the world moved on. But in that quiet nursery, it was just them. Elena brushed Gabriel's tiny hand with her finger. "He deserves a chance to grow up in light, not secrets." Adrian nodded. "Then we'll make sure he does. Together." She smiled, not the tired smile of someone surviving, but the soft one of someone finally free. As she turned to leave, the baby stirred again, and for a second, she thought she heard his breath whisper against her chest. Almost like a promise returned.